Welcome back to All In with Rick Jordan. I am Rick Jordan. I love sales because sales is just a transference of trust, and I love serving people and providing something of value, and something of value should always be paid for. You really should never do much for free in life. Serving can be a way of giving back, and even when you're coaching, even when you're trying to help someone overcome some obstacles in their life, you should be paid for that. You absolutely should be. Now, there's certain things, of course, volunteer, give your time, do all that. But today I'm talking about sales, and sales is a mode of service. Providing a solution and allowing your prospect to trust in you so that they actually buy from you and get what they need to accelerate their business, their life, their goals, whatever. Today, I'm going to give you the 5 questions, the 5 whys that you need to answer for every sales engagement, every prospect that you are trying to sell your service, your product to. You have to answer these 5 whys. If you don't, you're going to leave an open door for any competition, or even more so, a no to come in, because when it comes to sales, anything other than a yes is a no. All these other reasons, I went through this on an earlier episode, that they give you, anything other than a yes is a no, and that's just the straight truth. First question, why me? Can you answer that? Now, this is introspective. When you walk in and you're sitting in front of a prospect, you need to answer that for your prospect. They should not have to ask you, why should I do business with you? And when they're asking that, some people would take that, because I've gotten that question before, because I failed to answer this question ahead of time. Why me? Why should I do business with you? That's a common question in any sales engagements. And what they're really saying, everyone feels, any salesperson really feels that they're asking, oh, well, how good is your product, or how good is your service? And they go into all these feature lists. No, people buy from people. And the prospect is asking you specifically, why should I buy from you? Why should I do business with you? You need to answer this question, why me? Now, this goes into a whole myriad of things. And it's not necessarily what you do, it's who you are. This is where a great time for storytelling. Oh my gosh, stories are what sells. You go in front of a prospect and you bring up a story from last week or the week before, something in your life that hits home, that they can relate to, which brings you into why you do even what you do right now. Why are you trying to even sell this product? Why you? Squirrel. Actually, that's the second question. But the why me is what you need to answer first when you are sitting in front of them. That is the first thing you need to go into, is saying, I am here because I'm the best at this. And don't be afraid to say that if you really are. I'm not afraid to say that. I used to be. I used to think that you had to go into these long feature sets of any service, any product that you were trying to sell, and that's what sold it. Wrong. It's the stories that sell, and it's the personal stories that sell. Then they can relate to you, and it makes you more human to them, more open, more vulnerable, and it actually looks like you are going to serve them rather than just trying to get their money. So answer that question, why me? When someone asks me that, or I'm trying to answer that question ahead of time proactively, I'll say, well, this is why. Because I go on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, nationwide. I have a best-selling book. Anything that I go after, I achieve because I am all in. What does that say about me? That it doesn't say what I do, does it? That says who I am, and that I'm shooting for the highest goals possible. And any audience is not too small, not too big for me, because I want to help everybody that I come across. And hopefully, even out of this interaction, that my prospect will learn something, even if they end up not doing business with me, which is possible, because this why me part is so important. Right away, when you walk in the door, 50% of people just will not like you. That's just the stats. It doesn't matter. You could be the best person in the world, have the best service, the best product ever that can meet all of their needs, and they just won't do business with you because they just don't like you. And it's nothing that you did, nothing that you could do. It's just how it works. Somebody that doesn't jive with you, you've got different energies. It happens. It's okay, because they can go down the road and do business with somebody else. You've still got that other half a block that you have a chance at winning at this time. And just think, flip it around for a second. All the others that are not answering why me, all of your competition, Still, right off the bat, only 50% are not going to like them either, which means they'll give you a shot. But even so, they're not answering this question, which is going to drive them over to you anyways. So it's okay. Don't go after people liking you when you're in a sales engagement. You just need to answer the question, why me? Because half of them are not going to like you no matter what. Second question that you need to answer, the second why, is why you? Now you're saying, why your prospect? Why is it this person? This is so key because it's very, very possible to be selling to the wrong person. In my industry, in cybersecurity, there's a size threshold that I do not go under. Why? Because it's not the market that I'm after. Do you think that IBM Global Services, that's the largest service provider for IT cybersecurity in the entire world, do you think that they deal with a 100-person law firm? No, they're after 1,000 individuals, enterprise levels, because those are the ones that they are diving into. For me, I don't go lower than really 20 people in any organization because it's just not the right match. Usually they don't have the budget to try to protect themselves the way that they need to be protected. It's the wrong audience. And those that don't see value in protecting anything that they have or can't see down the road, really it comes down to, for me, if they're not trying to grow, because that's what I'm all about, is moving forward, continuing to climb. If they are not about growth, or meaning even if they're declining, if their business has suffered over the past couple of years, then they are not the right prospect for me. It's the wrong audience. So if you can't walk in knowing the answer to that question, why you, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, then you're going to be doomed to fail right from the beginning. You have to know the answer to this question. You also have to articulate that question, saying, I work with so many else like you. Let me tell you a story about this place that I just helped. It's another opportunity to tell a quick story. And then it relates and it answers the question for that prospect right away. Why I am sitting in the chair or taking them out to lunch, because it is very valuable. Their time is extremely valuable. So since I'm taking the time to do that, why are they taking the time to do that? Why did I even want to have this meeting with them? It used to not be that way. I didn't understand this concept when I first started in business for myself about 12 years ago. Because at that point, especially when you're dead broke, you try to go after almost any dollar that you possibly can. And it wasn't long. It was only about 6 months where I started qualifying and saying, there's a certain demographic, certain statistics that I want to stay away from. And it's almost not defining who you want to go after at first. It's saying, who don't I want to sit down at the table with? That's a great place to start. And then you can filter out through everything else so you can answer that question, why you, Mr. or Miss Prospect? Walk in there, answer that question for them as part of your story. Watch what happens. Third question, why? Why no one else? This is awesome. This is one of my favorite parts. I love joking around about this with prospects because I'm sure everyone out there can always think of reasons why their competition is bad. Don't make stuff up, but you can always come up with something. But these cannot be fluffy things. These have to be very, very specific. You cannot walk in and sit with the prospect and just start harping on everybody else. You don't want to focus on the negative here. This is one of the biggest points that you have to grab on here. Don't start talking bad about your competition when you're trying to answer the question, why no one else? The reason is because it's just going to take you to a lower level, and they're going to look at you as just somebody that's out there with an axe to grind. I've had individuals come in and try to sell me, and as soon as they start to go negative and talk bad about their competition, saying, well, they don't do this or they don't do that, wrong, flip it around. Start saying, hey, I do this and I do that. And this is key too, as you're saying what you do. You can mention your company's name, but making this personal, even if you work as a salesperson, if it's not your business, you are a salesperson trying to get out there and crush it for an organization that you're trying to make a good living for and trying to help that company grow. Use the word I. It makes it so much more personal when you're trying to answer any of these questions, but especially when you're trying to answer this third why of why no one else. Focus on everything that you do, all of the positives. I like to call this laying landmines for the competition. Always assume that you are not the only person that's being talked to, trying to fulfill this need that your prospect has. If your prospect is smart, which is another thing that has to qualify them, I hope that they are looking at others. I sometimes even hope that they will try out some of my competition. And then they'll come back over because they'll get a taste of just how the bad tastes. But I didn't say anything. I just walk in and I educate and I tell them why no one else. I lay landmines for my competition by just saying, hey, when you're looking at your needs, here's some questions that you need to answer for yourself, Mr. or Miss Prospect. And if this plants a little seed, because if they're talking to other people, which they should be, if they're diligent, if they're intelligent and they want to compare some things, they will have this in their heads as saying, well, Rick was just in here and he was talking about X, Y, and Z. This person didn't talk about that. I wonder if they even do this. Apparently, I need this because this is what's going to resolve my needs. So this answers the question, why no one else? You have to have a differentiator. And, sometimes, here's a kicker that I had to learn late in my career, just within the past couple of years. You could be doing the same exact thing as your competition. You could be doing it the same exact way. And the only difference is you. Did you hear that? Same exact thing, same exact way. The only difference is that it's you. That in itself is a differentiator. Your attitude, your personality, the way that you want to go after it, the way that you want to serve this person, that is a winner in most cases, to where you can say, I'm all in for you. These other people, they might be, now again, don't talk negative. This is just getting into their mind and their psyche, but a lot of your competition are just out there to make the sale. They just want to drive up revenues. They don't give two flips about the prospect, about actually serving them, because I always say you serve first and the money will follow. If that's you, that could be your only answer to the question, why no one else, is that it is you. You are the difference. And that is awesome. It's okay. You is the biggest differentiator. That's why it's important to have a personal brand too. There's a little slide in right there, but that's how it's got to be, because you are you, nobody else is you, and that could be the only answer to the question of why no one else, especially if you're in a very saturated industry, a very saturated market where everybody's doing the same thing. You are the differentiator. End of story. That answers that. The fourth why. Why this? Why your product? Why your service? This is the only time really to get into maybe touching on a little bit of the features or a little bit of the results that you want to achieve. And that's the key, because the features really are the things that achieve the results, right? Most business owners or most prospects will not really care about the how. They're just going to care about the what. That's it. And it's your job to do the how behind the scenes. It's your service deliveries department for the job behind the scenes, or the product's job to do the job behind the scenes. But answering this question of why this has to be results driven. Features can help you get there. And sometimes it's okay to mention a few. If it's in regards to a specific question that the prospect asks, that's okay. But be very careful. Don't dive in too deep to the hows, because you are going to lose them. It's not story-based, and then you just become a robot, which is the same as all of your other competition that's out there. When I go in, I don't even have a sales slick or a sales sheet that lists everything out. It's a conversation. I'm telling stories. I'm gathering information. That's all it is. I don't do much talking, except really answering these 5 whys. Why this? If you can just focus on the results, and before this, of course, you need to ask some questions. Do your homework before you walk in too. Know the company, know their websites, know what they do, know how they make money. Understand what some of the pitfalls in their industry are right now. Look this up. Don't be lazy and just walk in and hope everything goes okay. You're going to lose. Do your homework, know ahead of time, and watch how impressed they're going to be when you get to this question, why this? And you are able to address all of the results, all of the concerns that they had in their mind before they even speak them. It's fantastic. They're going to be blown away because you're able to answer this question, and not with a list of bullet points, but with a list of stories and results that they are wanting to achieve in their business, in their life, in their strategy, and their goals. Isn't that awesome? Why this? The last one I got for you. This is super important. Why now? And here's the crazy part. You might not have an answer to this question because it might not be the time. I've learned a lot about sales, and that sales is a lot about timing. There might not be a need for what you serve, what you provide right now with that prospect. As you're going through their pain points, you might not be able to answer this question of why now. And that's also very much okay. Because now you've planted the seed, add them into some kind of drip marketing, stay in touch. Most sales are lost through the lack of follow-up. When you can't answer these 5 questions, especially when you get to why now, and there's like, you know what, I'm just not ready yet. Okay, that's a valid point. If they're just not ready yet to make a decision, cool. Move on your way, but stay in touch, follow up, because they're just going to go off to somebody else who actually cares to make a phone call, who cares to send a text message. Oh, side note, squirrel. Text messages are king. Beyond email, beyond a phone call, text messages are awesome. Who loves calling and getting voicemails? Not me. When they see your number pop up and they know that you're trying to sell them something, it's horrible. You don't want to answer that call. Emails. I have an assistant, a wonderful executive assistant that filters my email for me. She only flags what she feels is important for me to see. Because I'm the CEO. I own it. I shouldn't have to handle everything. I have an awesome team in place to be able to take care of so many things, and she distributes it to whose responsibility is. She's my own personal gatekeeper. Email, while some sales things are great and copy's fantastic, I'm not saying it's dead. The text message is the most personal thing, in my opinion, in this day, that can get through to a prospect that you care, can get information across. You can even send PDFs if you have an iPhone and just say, hey, take a look at this. I had a prospect the other day where I was talking with an AT&T representative about coming to work for me, and we were joking around about some things with AT&T, and it made me think back with my prospect. I just sent him a quick text message right then and there. He replied, go figure. Because it's short, it's to the point, but now I am top of mind in his head again. He could have missed my email. He could have just swiped left and deleted my voicemail off of his phone because he didn't even care at the moment. Because the question when I first met with him for why now, it didn't really make sense at this point in time, but I'm still following up anyways with a text message. It's huge. Start texting people. Hey, I used to think 12 years ago, well, I don't want clients and prospects to have my cell phone number. I'm just always going to call from my desk phone because I don't want to be bothered with at nights. Hey, you know what? This work-life balance thing, have you listened to episode 3, I think it was, that it's stupid? Squirrel. If you want to make money, give them your cell phone number. If you want to serve them and be there when they need you, give them your cell phone number. Most people are pretty smart, and they're not going to hit you up on a holiday, on Easter Sunday, on July 4th, because they're doing things with their families too. They've got their own lives. It's okay. Give them your cell phone number so that you can text them. Get their cell phone number so that they can text you and you know who it is. Why now? You need to be able to answer that question, or you need to be able to definitively not answer that question, because there might not be a reason. If you can't answer that question, you might see a sense of urgency while you've been in that sales engagement from the pain points that you've uncovered. Everyone knows you need to uncover pain, but these 5 questions are things that almost no coach, no mentor even talks about, because they're just all focused on find the pain, find the pain, find the pain. You know what? If you don't go in there and flap your mouth too much, The whole reason they accepted the meeting with you in the first place is so that they could tell you their pain. They will gladly tell you. So just go in there and shut up. Let them talk. Don't monopolize the conversation. The only things that you need to worry about answering after all the questions that you're going to ask them to allow them to speak more, the questions are only designed to allow your prospect to speak more. You need to answer these 5 whys, and that's the only speaking that you need to do. End of story. Last 5 was why now. Run back through those. You ready with me? We got why me, number 1. Number 2 is why you. Number 3 is why no one else. Number 4 is why this. And number 5 is why now. I hope this helps you crush it, because when you walk into your next sales engagements, you answer these 5 questions, you're going to win this. And the one thing for you today, because it's your responsibility to pull one thing out. I gave you a lot of nuggets in this today, because this is what I do. This is what I'm actively doing right now in every sales engagement that I have. It works. I've been doing this for years. It works. Here's the one thing for today. Shut up. When you walk into a prospect, so many people, I said this earlier, I hope you picked up on it. Maybe you did, maybe that's your one thing, but I'm gonna give this to you. Shut up and listen. That's your one thing. You have to allow them to speak. A lot of individuals that I've coached and mentored over the years say, it's so hard to uncover the pain. You know what? It's not, because they want to tell you. They need to tell you. They're not just having you over to their place just to have a good time. They're trying to make money. You sitting there is taking time away from them if they choose not to do business with you. If they choose not to do business with you, it is a waste of their time. Hello? So go in, shut up, and they will tell you all of the pain that you would ever need to know. And then it's just your job to answer these 5 whys. Go crush it.